Wow, only top tier. That's good. No artillery. That's also good for you. Windstorm. It's not so good for you. So you can go to any of these alleys. You can play up in this area here and just kind of wait to see if they'll poke up. You can also go into this town area if you want, but I think you're probably better off. One of the nice things about the SU-122-44 is that it's really fast, so if you need to, you can always just relocate. And so this is a type of game where you're the only top tier. You don't need to take big bites too early. You're basically matched up against KV3 on the other team. So unless he's just out there wrecking face, you shouldn't feel too pressured. And it looks like you're split pretty evenly. You've got some heavies coming down here with you. So you want to, if you're going to come down to the south area, what you want to do is look for first strike here, which is basically set up where you have a shot right there, so that when they poke around, you get a shot, and then you just pull back. And then usually in a 122-44 or in a lot of semi-fragile tank destroyers, although you're the only tier 7 here, so that gives you a little bit of an advantage. You don't want to, like, you can set up in that bush right there if you wanted. You don't want to take damage on exchanges if you can avoid it. You're going to need to go a little bit further forward because he's going to be below the train. There you go. You can go for up a little bit more. You're taking a little bit less of a... You're taking a little bit riskier shot than you need to. Or I guess technically it's a little bit more conservative of a shot than you need to. And so that's twice now that you've been limited by your traverse. So you have to be careful with that. Make sure that ideally when you line up a tank that you're in the center of your traverse. That way you're not limited when you have to, if he wiggles a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right. This is another situation where you didn't really need to go all the way around to get this guy, especially since there's another gun that can shoot over here, because he wasn't the one that killed the Hellcat. See, it's this guy over to your right a little bit. Oh, hide behind the cans! The cans are solid matter for you. And if you're having trouble penning something, see that the cans just took that shot for you. If you're having trouble penning something, go ahead and switch to gold for that. You've got 10 APCR rounds, and you can use it for that. It's okay. Because that's 4 shots now that you've hit that RL. He should be dead. Okay, that's fine. You can relocate if you want. These guys you should be able to bully a little bit at least. And at this point, see how they push through like this? You can basically just push into them. Oh, that works. There's a Dicker Max cutting down the back. What you want to do is you want to get these isolated pockets if you can. The Dicker Max is probably a better target than the Easy 8. Of course, if the Easy 8 just drives out, that's fine. But you want to get either of these Dicker Maxes out, ideally before they can take down your Hellcat. Nope, that's a solid house. And a lot of the houses on Windstorm you can't shoot through. Ooh, that was a little bit of risky. You can just stop right there. You drove through the wall. You can just stop a little bit further back from where you were and shoot through the wall. You can auto aim if that makes you feel more comfortable. But you could have theoretically missed that guy as you went over that little bit of fence, just because the gun will jostle up and down. So you got to be careful about that. So the AT8 is down here, but see, these guys are somewhat inconsequential now because they're basically ISO'd on their own, so you don't really need to deal with them right now. So that's like 5 shots on this RL, and you haven't done a single shot of damage. Shoot low, low. Oh, yeah. That guy should be dead like 2 times over already. So you can still run away from these guys if you want. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Again, you're faster than either one of them. This 45%er is just owning you right now. There you go. No, you wanna. So when he's slightly angled for you, you want to aim at the closest point that's flat, and so in that case, it's the closest point to the left side of you. And if you could try to track this guy as he comes around, that would be great. Otherwise. Save the Dicker Max. That's fine. I don't fault that at all. Auto aim as you're going around the corner, trying to save the Dicker Max, get the fastest shot that you can to try to save his life. I think that's the right call. And then you want to let the Dicker Max go wide if he wants to go wide, and then you basically need to spot through the middle here. They're gonna. It looks like they're all gonna be on this back line over here. You could have gone over on that side. If you go over here, go up on top of this thing right here, so that you can just peek up, and then if you don't see anything, or if you get lit, you can just fall back down. But you'll be safe, and you can also cover the entrance to your. You need to be the guy that makes contact. Don't let this Dicker Max get shot. Just if that means you have to drive over, then so be it. No, drive forward. Thank you. Okay, KV3, relatively full health. Very sad. Again, at this point, you'd rather get shot than have your Dicker Max get shot. The Dicker Max appears to be dealing some decent damage. So if you're going to pull back and then pull forward like that, you might as well have just not pulled back at all. And you don't want to drive forward like that. You'd rather keep him as far away as you can and spin him out. And so at this point, right, there's 2 tanks. You know that guy's one shot. You're probably going to have to bounce a shot from the Hellcat no matter what. So you're better off pushing one of them. Presumably, they're both going to be on the same side. So just push through, go with speed. Yeah. That's a tough break. So you did fine. I mean, I thought coming over here, going to this bush, watching this area was fine. You could have gotten a shot if you were set up earlier on that, what was it that went across? It was one of these VKs that went across over here. You ended up taking a snapshot because you couldn't go all the way. You were at the end of your traverse because you weren't set up properly to shoot that corner. Um, and then you kind of had another shot on him later that you did hit when he poked out here. But most of your time was spent sort of futilely shooting that Arl. And I mean that's the reason why you bring premium ammo because that guy should have been dead. I mean you literally bounced on that guy like 6 times. I mean we could probably look at the stats to find out. But that's what really killed you because that guy was not a good player and you invested a lot of your energy in doing nothing to a very bad player, a player that wasn't really going to make a difference for their team for the most part. And in that time, you sort of lost this middle area. In the end, you gave up on the RL, which is fine. Again, you probably should have, if you weren't going to switch to premium ammo there, you might as well have just left, especially once you saw that they were breaking in over here. Then you might have been able to save that Hellcat, and any other tanks that were coming through here. And then also, once you did clear out both of those Dicker Maxes. I think they're Dicker Maxes, right? Yeah, it was like 2 Dicker Maxes. You didn't need to come back down here, right? None of your guys were being threatened by the AT-8. The AT-8's not going to chase anybody down. The RL is not going to chase anybody down. But you still had guys over here. I want to say that you had your AT-8 over here and the Dicker Max. And I think together you guys might have been able to do a bit more on the north. And then you just have to realize that you're sort of on a timer on the south in terms of these guys. Eventually, they're going to slow roll their way in, so you're going to have to deal with them at some point. And then after that, like for that Hellcat, you probably pussyfooted a little bit too much. For that KV-3, like I said, in the last 2 shots that you took against the KV-3, you took a shot and then you rolled back. Like this was during his reload. You rolled back and then you rolled forward and then you took another snapshot. So basically you ended up taking 2 snapshots against that KV-3. If you're going to sit there to take the shot anyways, you might as well just sit there and be fully aimed in. I mean, unless you think that for some reason there's something else shooting at you. But given the fact that you were protected by that little bit of hill, there wasn't going to be anything else shooting at you. I also felt like you should have tried to push that SU-100 right away when he pushed over there to try to get a shot, because it's the same sort of position where you were protected when you were shooting the KV-3. You were going to need to bounce something there anyway. So, but if you took him out there, the faster. I always think the faster you do it, the faster or the less time you give them to set up to catch you properly. So that's something to think about. But. And so if we look at the stats, yeah, 14 for 25 is not good. You didn't really get anything out of your team, which is unfortunate, but still that was a winnable game for you. And like here, look at this. You have an RL that blocked 3,120 damage by armor. That's bad. and I'm sorry to say that was mostly, if not all, you. But no, I mean, aside from that, I thought you played it pretty well. You pushed again. It's so much of playing top tier, especially when you're the only top tier. It's kind of a lot like playing a medium tank. You gotta look and see where you can bully, and then just go there and bully, and then don't waste your time. Don't waste a lot of time otherwise doing things against tanks that that have a fair shake against you, especially on a map like Windstorm where they've got to cross these bridges in order to get to you. It's kind of like Erlenberg in that sense on that sort of south part of the map. They got to cross these bridges in order to get to you, and those bridges are fairly easily defendable. It's look to shoot the opportunistic tanks. But overall, I thought you played a really solid game, so GG. All right, the next one is actually a win in the E5. I wanted to see this one. Alright, so Prokhorovka, tier 10, 1 artillery. Pretty similar comps otherwise. See, in an E5 from the north, you can play 2 different areas. I normally like to play the 6th line. You can also potentially play hill, though, in an E5 from this side. You don't really want to do it from the other side, just because of the way that this hill works. The E5 doesn't do that well in this area right here.
Let's go.
And, of course, you gotta watch to see what your team does as well, like how many waffles are gonna get you off. Looks like the E100, E3, waffle, so you've got like 3 10s going west. That's not so good. And then you've got some 8s going east, which is, oh look, the E100 turned around. That's good news. And you don't have any surfers, but you don't really have a comp for surfers. They don't really have a comp for surfers either, so that's also good news for you. And then you don't necessarily want to poke up here yet because there's nobody, right? So you have 2 jobs when you're over here. One of your jobs is to shoot over here. The second of your job is when your guys get lit, make sure that these guys right here can't shoot them.
It's a trap.
Try not to get shot by artillery. And then you do want to stay in this area right now, though, because your guys are reaching that critical point where now if they get lit, these guys can shoot them. And so you need to be able to stop that if they do. Well, looks like your E3 is YOLOing down the west. Hopefully your guys can get some shots from that. And you have to be careful cresting here, because that IS-7 can light you from the other side. Yeah, the side of the IS-7 turret, not a very good shot anymore. Not from that angle. You could have probably killed the T-34. The IS-7 is ignoring you. You can get shots on these other guys. Try to get that T-34 out. I know there's a waffle in the background. Okay, take a shot in the waffle. I'm fine with that. Because the T-34 is the guy that can punish your, or who's technically holding back your E3. And you can get a shot on him. It's going to expose you a little bit. Their artillery's up. You can get a shot on the artillery. Probably the better shot is to take the artillery. Right, and see your guys have pushed the hill, but they're beyond the point where you can help them now. So you want to keep this rock between you and the artillery, because you know where he is. Nope, nope, to the left. To the left. You're at the left. That guy. Down there. You can completely ignore these guys on the west now. Your guys are already through on the other side. I would focus on these guys over here. Like this IS-8, you can shoot this IS-8. Like, don't worry about these guys on the 6th line. They're not, these guys on the 6th line aren't hurting anybody right now. And their artillery got knocked down by your artillery, which is good. Really, don't worry about those guys. If you really want, just put this rock between you and those guys.
We didn't penetrate their armor.
Because these guys are ignoring you. Okay, well, maybe not anymore. Yeah, just put the rock between you and those guys and focus on those guys on the west. Because those guys on the west are eminently shootable for you, and also you can light them. Like you don't need to depend on these guys to light them, and like lighting these guys, well, if your team was a little bit higher, they'd be able to deal with that a little bit better. Like I still feel like this IS-7 is like it's inconsequential at this point. They're starting to push up a little bit. That's not good for you because, again, the further that they push up here, the more easily they're going to be able to shoot you.
It's a trap!
I still feel like this IS-7 is not an issue for you. Like he is the almost the lowest threat to you in this game right now.
Got him. Trap hit. They're knocked out.
Okay, now you might want to consider taking out the IS-7 because now you don't really have anything else that you can do better. Oh my god, so now you're not doing it. Like, for all that time, what you really want to do is prevent these guys from pushing up on that side. That does a couple of things that your guys are a little bit safer over there. And then this guy, I don't really think. We'll have to look at the stats afterwards, but I don't really feel like... I mean, you had like a JP2 like sitting up here, not doing a whole lot.
Enemy is hit.
So that Roomba's probably still in the back there. You can still kill this IS-7 if you wanted.
It's a trap!
You should turn your armor this way. The IS-7 is not going to shoot you. The only thing that's going to shoot you is somewhere over there.
It's a trap!
You got a lot of snapshots. The E100 is going to be too low for you to shoot, but he's also too low to shoot you. The IS-7, though, you don't exactly know where the IS-7 is. Your guys are counter pushing over there. See, now the IS-7 is up. Shoot the IS-7.
It's a
No,
trap!
not that. I meant that IS-7. Okay, their IS-7 is occupied, so you can kill this guy. All right.
Vehicle destroyed.
That was definitely the Roomba. That was the 416. So the 416 has shots to where you're at.
Enemy armor is hit. We fixed the track. Get going. Penetration.
Right, and there's no reason for you to rock back and forth right now. So make sure you're all the way aimed in.
We didn't penetrate their armor.
And I'm not exactly sure why you switched to HE, but okay.
Critical hit. Enemy armor is destroyed.
Thank you. And then so the 416 is definitely on top of the hill. The Roomba is definitely still low. So you can actually go back and then come back around, or you can go push the Roomba. The problem with pushing the Roomba is if he has the 15 centimeter, I'm not sure whether he does or not, he can one-shot you.
Critical hit. It's a trap!
That's fine. All you need to do is just proxy these guys. You still have artillery. You don't need to drive over here. And so what you want to do, you don't want to come up between the two of them because you know the 416 is on your left. You know the Roomba's on your right. You want to go all the way down to
It's a
this
trap!
crossing over there, right? So you'll light the Roomba on the way down there. Don't worry about the 416.
Enemy armor is damaged.
You still want to stay as close to this railroad track as possible because you want to know where the Roomba is. You need some intel. And there's no reason to dance around. And again, you don't want to poke up between them.
Penetration.
You got a lot of snaps here. And so the problem with poking up in between them, of course, is both of them can shoot you, and well, one of them's going to have a really good shot on you, and that's why you don't want to push yourself. This is what I call 1-2s. So they could 1-2 you. Well, I guess if you didn't have an M103 here, but I don't think they really understand it. So you just want to go on one side, and then don't forget you can drive up that side.
They're knocked out.
And then now you just want to face the Roomba, because if he's got the 12.8, he's not going to be loaded in time. And if he has the, he does have the 12.8. If he has the, sorry, if he has the 15 centimeter, he's not going to be loaded in time. And if he has the 12.8, he's not going to be able to kill you. So not bad. I mean, I think you did an okay job over here. You got to watch your guys pushing over there, and that's really the only time that you need to protect the six line is when they're pushing over there. You don't really get that great of shots on these guys over there unless they drive all the way up, kind of like that Tiger 2 did. They can pretty much stay protected. It's also better if you stay on the inside of these houses over here because that protects you from fire from this range. After that, I felt like you spent way too much time trying to shoot these guys on the six line. Like you were really ineffective at shooting that IS-7 that was there, and that a lot of that time could have been spent shooting open targets that were moving forward up here. The IS-7 and the Tiger 2 were really not a threat to you guys, and really the biggest issue was these guys that were pushing up on this west. So let's see what was the. IS-7 was Harrison something. Hera. Okay. So, like, watch. If we look at the stats. Okay. So you did a good job shooting things, which is nice. AK damage is certainly nothing to sneeze at. And you actually had some of your teammates help out, which is good. So this is that IS-7 that was opposite of you, and I guess he did almost 4K damage, but I really didn't feel like he was in a position to do a whole lot. Whereas the other IS-7 that was on the other side, the other E100 that was on the other side, the E4 was on the other side. Like all of these tanks, their waffle was on the other side, but he got lit early, which does not bode well for him. And as those guys were pushing up the west, you were sort of in a position on that, or where you could have put that rock that's in like that F5, F6 area, or sorry, E5 area. You could have put that between yourself and the 6 line, and that would have protected you from being shot from there. And you could have, done a lot of damage and helped out your guys on the west. And that also would have prevented them from pushing their IS-7 up to that EF line where he can shoot back at you really easily. But a win is a win, and it's certainly a fantastic game. So, congrats and GG. Thanks for the resubs, Traveler. Alright, and now for the unprecedented replay review, I shall review one of my own replays. That I don't remember what happened in this, so we'll see what happens. No, I mean, you certainly played a fantastic game. Just, I you know, on a lot of maps, it's about learning. What's the term that I'm looking for? It's like learning which tanks are the tanks that are hurting your team the most at any given time, and trying to stem that. Alright, so this is a low tier game on highway on the south spawn. So in a light tank, medium tank, I normally go to the north side. And you can go up through like this D1, E1 area and get shots over there. If we have spotters go that way, I actually like to play low, like down in this area over here, or even a little bit further east, because you can get, if they light here, you can get shots through this corridor right there really easily. And then, as always, you know, about 15 to 30 seconds into the game, you want to look and see what your team is doing. Most of our team is headed east. Maybe there's an A20 and an M3 Lee headed this way, maybe the DW2 as well. So there's not a whole lot of fire support. So I'm not entirely sure what this A20 is doing. He might stop here, he might go all the way through, we'll have to see. And so what I'm probably going to do is a scouting run. The scouting range on this tank is not super wide, but you basically, I'll surf this ridge right here, and if I get lit, then I'll just, you know, dive off to the left. Otherwise, we'll just keep going across. And we haven't spotted anything so far. Oh, I spoke too soon. We spotted a Kehoe, so, and he spotted us. And so I want to drop spot before I go up here. I don't want to just drive up into those bushes, but once I get into this bush on that level, I'll be able to shoot this Kehoe pretty easily. The A20 is engaging, but where the A20 is engaging, he can get shot from over here pretty easily.
It's a trap!
And then you just want to roll back and make sure you don't get hit by artillery. So that's all that they had out here, so there's not a whole lot. So it's time to start heading back. We've actually got some guys up under here, which is actually reasonably good if they don't die right away. They just need to not push. Unfortunately, we got completely annihilated on the city side, which is not a good sign. And so they've got an M3 Lee crossing the field. So they're starting to get a surround on our guys over here. So we got to try to prevent that if we can. DW2 is still alive, but now there's a Matilda on that side. This Hetzer's still over here as well, which is a problem. I probably should have, well, like, yeah, I guess if the Hetzer gets relit, that's fine. Probably should hit this Hetzer, that would be excellent. Like, shooting this guy at any given time is always a good thing. This Matilda is probably facing the DW2, so he's probably at a right angle to me. This guy's behind that little water tower, so he's not going to be a good shot. When our DW2 gets killed by their Electo. This is my patented awesome shooting. So they've got some guys probably headed up towards our caps. We're going to need to head out that way. We're actually not doing that badly. Unfortunately, our M3 Lee is not in a very good position. I'm not sure if he's actually been even shooting anything at this point. And I need to try to take out this Electo before he kills our M3 Lee. For some reason I thought I was going to have a shot there and I didn't.
It's a trap!
And then now we really need to go back to base. I think I remember this game. I remember how this game ends now. And then there's one other guy on cap, so it's not like a super rush. So their Martyr 3 came up from behind. The Martyr 3 is not a threat, so what I need to do is clear the cap.
It's a trap!
And this guy's got a derp gun, so I... Oh no, wait a minute, that's not the derp gun. Okay, so we cleared the cap. We know the Martyr 2 is coming up the back. We know the Matilda was over here, but that was like a minute ago. But presumably he's a rather slow tank, so he's not going to be in a position where he can contain me from going out to this side. So I need to go out to this side and then see if I can catch this Martyr 2 coming across over here, or the Matilda coming up through here. And then so like this road right here is actually a pretty good ramp that you can sort of hull down over. So you can use it for some cover. And so I'll be able to look and see if there's anything on this side yet, right? And so if the Martyr is going to come up around this way, it's going to take him some time to get there. So I'm not too worried about that. I'm more worried about where's this Matilda? So there's an M7 priest here, who then just shotguns me. Which is unfortunate, because I think if I could have taken that guy out, then essentially what I would have done is probably relocated. I can, at that point, literally just run away. If the Martyr 2 gets on the cap, then I can come back around. I'll have plenty of time to do that. But otherwise, I think that's really just unfortunate. I probably shouldn't have poked back up there. I mean, it's kind of lucky that he was able to shotgun me from there. I could have gone down under the bridge and had a much safer shot on him. But I thought I'd be able to get that shot and then go under. But that's obviously a mistake. And so what ends up happening is we lose, and I didn't really shoot that well. The gun on the tank isn't like totally accurate. It's a really nice gun. It's got good pen, but it has a rather long aim time. It's got kind of poor dispersion on turret rotation and things like that. But when you do hit, usually it does pen because it does have that good pen. So I just needed to not make a couple of mistakes there. I could have saved more of our guys in the middle if I was more efficient with my shooting, particularly against those tank destroyers, the Hetzer and the Martyr 2. I think that I missed not the Matilda, the other guy that drove across the middle, who was... I don't remember who the other guy was that drove across the middle. I thought there were two. Maybe it was... I'd have to go back and look. But anyways, if I could have saved like our DW2 and the other guy that were underneath the bridge, that would have made our job a whole lot easier, because those guys were basically surrounded, and they basically needed to have some... not be in such a bad crossfire.